Welcome back one more time, students, for digital painting, FA210. We're going to look at flattening and blend modes again. This is exercise E4 part C. So we're going to be adding a color blend mode to our grayscale image, which here it is. First thing I'm doing is I'm using the gradient tool. I'm going to I think I'm going to undo this and do it again just to show it to you. But the idea is you have it a little darker at the top, a little bit lighter at the bottom, and we can go through and create, doing something different. So I created a copy of my painting, and then I turned it to multiply blend mode. And now I am trying to scale that into a shadow. So if I hold down Shift, it will allow me to shrink that down. And I basically make it flatter, put it on the ground. And now it's an exact copy of what my other thing looks like. And then I move to blur, Gaussian blur, make it kind of strong, and maybe finally take the opacity and make it a little lighter. Just like that, we've got our skeleton warrior with his own little shadow that looks like him. So it's like I'm naming this, and this is what I've saved and put in the folder. So from here, we're going to go ahead and create a color layer. So I'm going to hit new layer. I am going to create clipping mask, and I'm going to the color blend mode, which is almost at the very bottom. So you're going to see I'm going to paint with some red first, then I'll paint with some green. But blend mode basically puts, or a color blend mode puts color on top of a grayscale and will only respond to that. And it basically gives you different colors. So I'm switching brushes that has a little bit of like a softness so that if I have a soft touch, it doesn't paint very hard. And if I want to make it stronger, I can push down a little bit harder. Here's kind of like another more like teal green. I think I end up kind of liking a color something like that. And we kind of start to work from there, kind of adding some more warm colors to things that maybe are made of fur, adding some other colors. And because this is clipped, remember, I used the clipping mask. So none of the paint that I'm doing on this new layer is going to go onto the background. It's only going to stay on top of my grayscale painting. And the beauty of doing the grayscale and with the color blend mode is you end up with something that it preserves all those different values that you painted. You can still go in and paint more values on top of it, but it's a really fast way to get some color into your picture. Matt Core from controlpaint.com has a whole video on just going from grayscale to color. I think I'm adding some cools on the edges. My thought is that there's like a cool blue light. I think I could probably keep tweaking this, but I didn't want to spend too much time on it. Again, a lot of these steps and different parts of this image I have put into the folder. I'm going to send you an email shortly that has all the information about this in there. So there's kind of like the look of it. That's what the painting looks like now with the color blend mode on top of it. If you take the drawing away and then you put the drawing back. Oh, you get to see me take the screenshot right there. There it is. And I save it real quick. And this is what's in the folder. So you can see the color blend mode without the drawing. So now our challenge is we're going to add the color blend mode. Then I've asked you to add 2 other blend modes, can be whatever ones you want. Hopefully not ones that we've already used. So maybe don't pick screen or multiply. And so I keep clicking through and I did a soft light and a hard light and a color burn and some different ones. I end up at the end identifying which ones they are. And I think I go with linear burn for this first one. And so I've got a blue color, but it's making it very transparent and dark and cool. So I'm kind of putting it on the shadows. I think eventually I start to kind of add it in very light, and I change the opacity so that it isn't so strong. One other thing that's great to know about your blend modes is if you go through and you think that everything that's happening is too extreme, you can always take that opacity down and make that effect even less for the whole layer all by itself. Or you can select an area and erase a little bit of it away with a very, very low opacity eraser. So there's probably a million different ways you can keep changing and keep adjusting things so that they look the way that you want them to. So here, now I took the opacity down, and you'll notice that this is a very subtle, very light blue that's kind of hitting some of the edges on the shadows. And my thought was this is going to just add a little bit more of a turn to those forms so that they're not quite so flat. The beauty of a flat is it gives you a silhouette to work from. The problem with it, I just kind of popped it on and off so you could see the difference. We'll do that again at the very end. The problem with it is sometimes it can make things look flat. So now we're going to a new blend mode. So I'm starting out with soft light, and I think I'm going to paint it in a lot of places, but it doesn't really show up very well. So I think I end up changing the blend mode as I go through. You can kind of see it, but I'm trying to get a cool kind of bluish light up on the top right of all these different parts of our skeleton warrior. Some of it is working, some of it not as much. What it is doing in some places, you can see it gets blue. Other places, it just kind of neutralizes the color that's underneath it. So I thought it was interesting enough to keep it. And I do think that I end up changing the blend mode to something else. And that's what I would recommend. Do a little bit of painting, do a little bit of some kind of coloring or something on top on a new clipping mask, and then play around. Just scroll through these blend modes. See how I go up and down? And each time I move that cursor, it's showing me a different version of what this can look like. I wish that Procreate did the same to show you like a preview, but it doesn't. But in the end, I think I ended up with some kind of like maybe a multiply or some kind of other screen. But here's all these together. We've got all those. And here we're just going to click through and kind of show you what do they all look like. So if we take away all this stuff, start with the drawing, and we take away, here's the grayscale, and then we add in, here's what the top one looks like, here's the color burn, linear burn, and that's the color. And then we slowly add them all together, and we get the image that we've put together for this project, also in the folder. We'll see you next time.